Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning: this video may contain explicit descriptions of drug use, violence, and sexual situations. Viewer discretion is advised as this content may not be suitable for all audiences.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope the universe is treating you well. We are continuing our deep dive into Kingdom of Fear by Hunter S. Thompson. We are currently going through his story on the fight for pornography freedom. In the last video, he mentions that Feinstein just became a senator. So I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, this is in like mid-'80s. This is during the whole Reagan, Tipper Gore, Ed Meese, Jesse Helms, all those people being up in arms against basically sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and trying to use Satan as their scapegoat. The whole satanic panic of the 80s. So yeah, let's get into this.
The Sausalito police were also still holding my personally engraved Feinwerkbau brand Olympic Championship air pistol, the most accurate weapon at 10 meters that I've ever held in my hand. It was one of those extremely rare pistols that would shoot exactly where you pointed it, and it didn't really matter who you were. Women and children who had never aimed a pistol at anything could pick up the Feinwerkbau and hit a dime at 15 feet.
Yeah, that's doing some damn good shooting. It is my understanding, though, that Thompson, despite all the vibrato and videos and stuff that he put out, and there's a really good video on YouTube of Conan, talk show host, did a late night talk show. I can't think of the man's last name right now. Conan O'Brien, where he visited Thompson at Woody Creek or Owl Creek, excuse me, and they went shooting, and it's you know, despite videos like that, it's a good video. I recommend looking it up on YouTube and watching it. But besides that when Thompson wanted to, Thompson could be a hell of a good shot.
Beyond that range, or in a wind on the end of a long bamboo pole off the balcony, we would use slightly larger targets, about the size of a quarter, which were tin buttons showing a likeness of San Francisco Mayor Dianne Feinstein with 8 tits.
Kind of like a big old sow.
Like the Wolf Mother of Rome. The Mitchell brothers had printed up 10,000 of these, for some reason that I never quite understood, in the months of angst and fear and hellish legal strife before the trial. I still have about 1,000 of them, and there are maybe another 2,000 in the bushes and on the huge flat roof of Nunzio Aliotto's house at the entrance to Sausalito. Nunzio, a close relative of former San Francisco Mayor Joe Aliotto, was one of my closest neighbors in Sausalito. He was right below me, the next stop down on the tramway. We lived on a very steep cliff, looking out on San Francisco Bay.
All the hills in San Francisco are steep, in my opinion. But I live in Texas. We don't have mountains. We have gentle, rolling hills, and that's kind of how I like it.
The apartment is gone now, so we can talk about it freely. It will never again be for rent. The reasons for this are complex, and it is not likely that they will ever be made totally clear. But I like to think that I lived there in a style that honored the true spirit of the place, that if the redwood beams and sliding glass walls and the bamboo stools in my tiki bar could vote for president, that they would vote for me. Maybe not, but I feel pretty confident about this. Every once in a while, you run across a place that was built in a certain spirit, and even the walls understand that it was meant to be used that way. There were fires, and there was breakage. We had a homemade waterfall in the oak trees out in front of the tiki bar, and we wandered around naked half the time.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. A little bit of skin.
Drinking green chartreuse and smoking lethal Krakatoa cigarettes. And I built a world-class shooting range that hung in mid-air from an elegant 22-foot rod off the balcony, looking out on Angel Island and Alcatraz.
That would be kind of awesome to do. I mean, after all, he's only shooting a BB gun or an air pistol, probably pellets, probably 22 caliber pellets. But either way, if you're gonna have a gun range in an apartment, that's how you do it.
My attorney called it the best room in the world. "16 Alexander. July 31st, 1985. Owl Farm. To Michael Stepanian, Esquire. 819 Eddy Street, San Francisco, California, 94109. Dear Michael, the enclosed letters from Judith to your new client, Miss Laurice Sullivan, at 16 Alexander Avenue in Sausalito, where I lived with Maria, should give us a nice handle on a $33 million slander suit against Judith and her quarrelsome husband, Norvin, a thus far unindicted co-conspirator, and the computer company that brought them up here from Orange County and caused them to live in a situation, 16 Alexander, that they were unable to handle personally, and which led them to eventually file a lawsuit against Ms. Sullivan that names me in a provably false, wrong, hurtful, and personally and financially troublesome characterization, i.e., beatings and screaming."
Has a point. Though especially if you've read, not necessarily watched movies, it doesn't come out in the movie so much as it does in the book, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. His tirades and stuff when he's stoned. But I think, my personal opinion, I don't know. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Thompson. But unfortunately, or fortunately, no. I wasn't looking for either one of those words. My brain just spit them out for some reason. I think a lot of that was embellished for literary purposes, to be honest with you.
What beatings? You were there. You met Jacques, the husband, in the hallway when you were trying to beat down my door. In any case, my new book, The Night Manager, will be cast in a shadow of ugliness by these charges, which Judith and Norvin have filed. Repeat, filed. So in addition to stealing my air pistol and my binoculars and my jock straps and my custom-built Sorba paddle tennis rackets and my job-related videotapes and 2 or 3 packs of my Dunhills on some cheap Nazi scam that nobody believes, now the fuckers want to bash me in civil court and the public prints for beating Maria, night after night while the neighbors fled in terror. Whoops. A bit of a creative outburst there. I couldn't resist.
See, that's what I mean. I mean, in his fiction works, I think a lot of the like this lawsuit he's talking about is contrived from people reading his fiction and not realizing that it's literary license. It's been embellished.
The elegant hum of that title. A smart writer could have fun with a notion like that. Why not me? Okay, back to business. I am deep in debt to you and Joe and Tanya and Patty, and everybody else who suffered through the hell broth of lost sleep and character testing that accompanied my recent attempt to come down from the mountains and live even vaguely like a normal, middle-aged, middle-class, criminally inclined, smart urban male with a job.
Feel the pain.
And a few habits. Okay. Ask Nancy for details here. It was a disaster. We, you and me, had enjoyed no legal or even human Congress for many years, for reasons of sloth and dumbness, no doubt, but...
Hey, a little bit of sloth's good.
Yeah, and I didn't even come to you with a case or a crime or a problem, except that I had, for reasons of my own, recently taken on the job as night manager of the weird and infamous O'Farrell Theater, which happened to be right around the corner from your office, and also a nice headquarters, a suitable place to invite my best and most trustworthy friends for a drink from time to time. One thing we want to keep in mind about the Mitchell brothers is that they were utterly dumbfounded by most of what I did while I was there. They are good boys, and I kept them out of jail.
Which is always a good thing when your manager is able to do that for you.
The good Lord didn't make seesaws for nothing. My job, as I saw it in the beginning, was merely to interview the brothers as part of a long overdue assignment from Playboy on feminist pornography, which was beginning to bore me by that time. And in fact, the only reason I went to see the Mitchell brothers was the chance that they might be interesting enough, for 48 hours, to sustain my interest in the feminist porno story long enough for me to crank out the necessary 6,000 or 7,000 words.
That's a lot of words. I've written things for my Facebook, my main Facebook page, and 1,500, 2,000 words, is pretty good for me. It's nice and long and gets people bitching about long posts, but I couldn't imagine doing. Well, I imagine if it's a juicy enough subject and you got the material to work with in the brain, which I do not have, for stuff like that, I imagine knocking 6,000 words out may not be that big of a deal.
Jesus Christ, that is how it all started. I was bored with the article after watching 5 or 6 XXX films a day for most of the football season. I became a connoisseur, a knowledgeable critic in the field. I compiled my own top 10 list, and the Mitchell brothers were not on it, which is one of the things I told Jim, the elder, when I called him one night in the autumn. You want to talk, he said? Good. We will talk for 48 hours. You will be our guest. Just get on a plane. Well, shucks. You don't get many offers like that.
I mean, I don't know if I could say no to an offer like that, to be honest with you.
48 straight hours just for openers, eyeball to eyeball with the rotten Mitchell brothers? We know who you are, Doc, he said. Normally we don't give interviews, but in your case, we're going to allot 48 hours because we hear you're a player. I have all this on tape. I taped everything, from the first high macho phone arrangements to our first berserk meeting at the San Francisco airport, to broken bones and craziness and limousines full of naked women and relentless orgies at the Miyako Hotel.
That just sounds like, to be honest with you, a lot of sweat and a lot of bathing. I just, from my experience of my personal experience with moresomes, a lot of body fluids and body odors and lots of getting clean.
Being rolled around the lobby on a baggage cart with people screaming somewhere behind me in the distance, far down the hall in the direction of my suite with the deep green water tub and the bamboo walls and strange women in the bathroom putting lipstick on their nipples.
Why? When I get to this part, when I'm reading in the book, I have the same reaction of, why?
Whoops again. But so what? I may as well get this memo down somewhere, and why not to you? Why, indeed. A hideous streak of six insanely complex legal confrontations. Sudden war on all fronts. Open container, work-related. Red light, ditto. Maria crashes 2 national rental cars at the Oakland airport. HST burglarized by Sausalito police. HST crushes 3 Negroes on a ramp near the Hall of Justice. Ugly financial claims.
Yeah, like I said, I could imagine in that time, 1985. So yeah, this is the letter is dated at the beginning. He said 1985. So I can imagine him making all those claims. To the average American citizen would be like, he's crazy, he's making that up. But what, like I said in the last video, what we've learned about law enforcement in the last 6-7 years, it's that what he's talking about is fairly tame, you know.
Après moi le deluge. Getting to know Mr. Wrench, Boz Skaggs, and Diane Dodge. Insurance claims and driving school. Constant jeopardy. The judge has changed his mind. Hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars, light years of frantic attention. Even Bondoc was consulted. The best minds of our generation tied in knots by the vagaries of an irresponsible jurisdiction. That is how I explained it to Joe Freitas. You were once the DA in this town, I said to him, which is all I need to know. If Joe was still the DA, I'd be doing 30 days of swap, and he would be coming to visit me with the occasional bottle of absinthe and asking around the office for Maria's phone number in Phoenix. I warned you about liberals.
Yeah, he's right there. It has a lot. Well, I've known people that have been very proud liberals, and fits right into that mold.
It was a weird time. Not many people could have taken that series of shocks and come out of it thinking, yes, we are champions. When the great scorer comes to write against your name, he will ask my advice. And I will tell him about many things. No details will be spared. I owe you that. So I will tell him about Leonard Louis, and how you have the insane balls to run me right between Andre's eyes on the night before the first trial. And about the otherworldly madness that enveloped us when that giddy chink changed his mind. And about getting my $86 check back from the court clerk in Sausalito, after my secretary had already pled guilty for me. And about the floating horror of that 15-mile-per-hour red light violation in the midst of the drunk crash nightmare. And the time when the cops stole my finely engraved air pistol because my neighbor, Al Green, complained.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just kind of crazy, you know, what law enforcement could get away with. Well, what they can still get away with, to be honest with you.
Okay. I'll call you on this and other matters. And if in the meantime I happen to speak as I do, from time to time, with the great scorer, you can bet all 3 of your eyes that I am going to tell him how you ripped and pounded me out of my happy bed one morning at 16 Alexander and dragged me, and poor innocent Maria, out in a cold gray fog somewhere north of the Farallon Islands on a 15-foot Boston whaler into known big shark waters with no radio and no flares and only one good rod and a dinky little 18-inch gaff. After tracking me down, or up actually, in the raw dirt and dead limbs of my tiki bar.
It's just, like I said, I wonder how much of this is actual fact and how much of it is him embellishing it for this book.
And how we prevailed on the sea. How we caught a fine fish when all the others had gone south to Pacifica that day, and how we then came to the profoundly high decision to run straight through that maniac crease in the breakers and into Bolinas Harbor, because we were thirsty and tired, and we had our elegant 16-pound salmon, and because I knew a man with the whiff who lived in a small wooden house that we could almost see from a mile or so out on the ocean. The great scorer will like that story, and when he adds it in with the others, he will know that he is dealing with a warrior.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it's with Hunter S. Thompson. It's kind of hard sometimes to dig out and separate, fact from embellished fact, because in good faith he doesn't lie. He may, like I say, he may choose wording to cause your brain to go in a direction that he wants it to go in, but he doesn't straight out lie. So it looks like we're at a good place to stop. Until next time, I had to take a breath there. I got talking and wasn't breathing. So until next time, until I see you, or until all of you see me in a video, be a good human, be good other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?